This is the European edition of Breaking Banks, the world's #1 fintech podcast and radio show. We bring you the European unicorns, startups, founders, regulators, and leaders innovating the rapidly evolving fintech scene today. A truly localized podcast with both English and local language content, with some of the world's most well-known hosts and influencers in the fintech sector globally. Join us every week as we explore what makes the European Union a phenomenal proving ground for many of the fastest growing fintech plays in the world today. Okay, let's roll.
Hey guys, welcome back to Breaking Banks Europe. My name is Matteo Rizzi. I'm the executive producer of the show. Today is show number 105 and is a part of our series Breaking Impact with a specific focus on Francophone Africa. I'm here with two great entrepreneurs from the African ecosystem, and we will be joined by a third guest organizing the Africa FinTech Forum in a couple of weeks from now. I will, of course, immediately introduce them, and I will start by Hanae Bezad, the founder of Duartech. Welcome to Breaking Banks Europe.
Thank you very much, Matteo. Thanks for having me.
And our second guest is Raphael Dana, CEO and co-founder of Gozem. Raphael, welcome back to Breaking Banks. It's not the first time for you.
Yes, thank you, Matteo, for having me again. Looking forward.
So let's start a little bit by the usual, 2 minutes of intro. Hannah, you're new to Breaking Banks. Just give us the quick 2 minutes background, please.
Sure. So my name is Hannah. I'm a French-Moroccan entrepreneur, repatriated since 2017. So I moved back from Paris to Casablanca to set up a coding school as part of a global franchise called Le Wagon. And at the time, it was the first African location of the network, but it was also the first North African coding bootcamp. But I also came back with another project of mine, which was more inclusive in its intention. So the idea was to bring tech and entrepreneurial skills to vulnerable youth in rural and peri-urban area. We started in 2017 as well as a volunteer-led grassroots approach. And we grew from this approach to now 352 beneficiaries that received the training from us. So either our own training or trainings that we implement for UNICEF or the US Embassy or the likes. And through powerful mechanisms of training of trainers, we also impacted the lives of 880 people to this day. We have 9 operational staff. We have a board now comprised of 5 seasoned professionals, and I'm chairing this board. And so, yes, my mission, I would say, is very much to bring a contribution to at the intersection of ICT and development and diversity and inclusion.
So there is no reason to explain why we invited you to Breaking Impact. Raphael, you're also impacting strongly society of different countries. Tell us a little bit more again about Gozem.
Sure. So just about me. So I'm Raphael Dana, French, Tunisian, Swiss. Lived in Singapore the last 10 years and are relocated now between Europe and Africa. And we started Gozem 3 years ago. It was our anniversary last Monday. And Gozem it's a super app, fully inspired by the big Asian player like Grab and Gojek. And our goal is to put in place one experience where our user can find multiple services, but are really basic services. And it's like transportation, it's like delivery, some logistics, and also some fintech. We have a leasing company. We finance vehicles to our drivers. We call champions. And we have a wallet who's going to be on the license in January, where people are going to be able a lot of type of transaction from remittance to merchant payment. We are currently operating in Togo, in Benin, in Gabon. We'll start Cameroon in 2 weeks. And then we're going to next year be deploying on the rest of the key Francophone countries that include Ivory Coast, Mali, Senegal, and so on. 250 staff today, raised $12 million. Yeah, so far so good. Growing really, really fast.
Great, thank you. So let's start with I want to say a little bit of an intro, right? Because I actually checked, and the numbers varies between 150 and 200 million, belonging to what we call Francophone Africa. But actually, Francophone Africa is, a variety of ecosystems, right? And by the way, we have the chance here of having representative of North Africa, which is also Francophone, but almost like another, I would say completely different ecosystem, much closer to Europe than the Francophone Africa that you, Raphael, are operating in. What are the differences and the commonalities of these different French ecosystems in the continent? Hannah, you want to give it a shot?
Sure. I've had the chance to visit Sub-Sahara West Africa, but I was also located in East Africa. So I would say from these trips and these experiences, I have noticed indeed differences, but more commonalities than we think to this day. So North Africa, if we take Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, belongs to the Arab world. Official languages are Arabic, but we have a variety of others. If you take Morocco, for instance, Berber is one of them. We are closer to Europe in a way, but not so close. I mean, if you take the European Commission segmentation, we're the southern neighboring countries, right? And so we have specific plans for it. But we have of course, our own challenges. It's the least integrated region in the world, which of course makes it hard for entrepreneurs and bigger corporates alike to make business and really tap into the vast potential of our markets. And we are quite fragmented in the consumption. If you take Morocco in itself, I think a lot of entrepreneurs will tell you that it's a great place to start prototyping products, but it's only 35 million people. And so, and quite fragmented in the way they consume this digital product, for instance. And so for that matter, it's been kind of a major incentive for all entrepreneurs in this place to look at the potential of Africa as a whole and to understand better their belonging and their commonalities to the rest of Africa. I think Morocco has super strong ties with countries like Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire for political reasons, for historical reasons, for also cultural reasons. I mean, the very fact that North Africa is majority Muslim and also the states it's Muslim states makes it so that we have kind of a strong tie to the Muslim communities in Sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, just as an example, people come from Senegal to Zawiyat in Fez to go to Mecca for the pilgrimage. So this is something very strong. And I think we need to acknowledge our commonalities. I think the very fact that Morocco has much more infrastructure than the rest of the continent, for that matter, not just West Africa, makes it so that people think, oh, but they're not exactly like us. They're a bit, from the perspective of Sub-Saharan Africa, it's like they're a bit more European and then think of themselves as Europeans, even though it's more questionable than anything. I think we really need to find in the space of entrepreneurship and innovation commonalities. I think a lot of products that are developed here are relevant there when it comes to, fintech, for instance. The legislations are very different and the approach to seizing the opportunities are sometimes very different. But I think we have, at the end of the day, a lot of common challenges and a lot of common practices and a lot of commonalities in consumption. So that's my perception of this so-called divide.
You mentioned fintech, Hanae, and I think that the fact that there is in the sub-Saharan Francophone Africa like a common currency to start with is an enormous opportunity, especially for fintech startups.
Yes, exactly. So just a few words on Morocco. So a country. Just to complement what Hanae was saying, we really like this market. We will not operate there. but I believe Morocco is one of the most dynamic country. And I think you always see those dynamic countries. I mean, I'm Swiss. I've lived in Singapore in 10 years. And some of the best countries are the countries that don't have that much resources. So you need to find out how you're going to make money and how you're going to grow your economy and to be really dynamic. And I think Morocco is part of those countries where industry, tourism, many aspects, IT is developing. So yeah, we're a big fan of Morocco, but no plan for us to go to North Africa. Our mandate is definitely to look at Francophone sub-Saharan, and it's a really interesting part of the world. First, we speak the same language, so that's really strong. Also, the legal system is the same, so there's like some big roots on how you're going to act, the way you're going to be doing business. And as you just raised, Matteo, one point is really important is that on covering 150 million people, we have two central banks on one currency system called franc CFA, and the franc CFA is pegged to euro, and which means that you are technically trading in the eurozone. So when you're doing lending, can you imagine what's the difference? Because you don't have FX risk, and you don't have the inflation you're going to find in many other countries in Nigeria or somewhere else. So it really simplifies your life, especially if you're raising a loan book like debt facility, as we've just started. Same thing when you're doing payments. Same thing when you're sending all the money from your investor and you need to send it back. So I believe it's the best zone to do fintech in Africa. The funny thing is that I talk to some VCs around the world, and some people, when I tell them that, they're like, "Oh, really? Oh, I think you're doing a mistake. We know fintech by heart. We would know if it would exist, it was a eurozone." I'm like, "Sure, but it is." And that's the reality, is that a lot of people are not even aware of this, that it's the best zone to do fintech currently right now in Africa. So that's why we're really excited about this, because as we're building a super app is about building a daily engagement, okay, on a strong repeat with your users. So you need something for that. There's no secret recipes. Like either you have a chat like we chat, either you're doing transportation as we do, and you add delivery, and then you add multiple services, because every morning you're gonna open the app to do something, and then obviously you're gonna have all those payment and lending and access to capital. So to come back to your point, is we believe Francophone is the most exciting, and more specifically on the fintech part. And because you have one currency, one language, and we decided when we started to look at Francophone as one big market. If you add DRC's 250 million people, so in terms of population, it's bigger than Nigeria.
Thank you, Raphael. And I actually think is also a great transition, talking about the best place for fintech. In the meantime, Alex just joined us. Hi, Alex. Welcome back, actually, to Breaking Banks Europe. Are you there?
Hello, Matteo. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Good.
You're fully forgiven. The reason why I absolutely wanted you to still connect to the show is because you're actually organizing the Africa FinTech Forum, which I will be privileged to participate in. I believe it's 24th of November, and that's the reason why you're not sleeping at night and you arrive late to the talk show, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Matteo. Of course, we are on stress because we are planning the leading fintech event in Francophone Africa, and as you said, it will be for the 23-24 of November in Abidjan. And we will gather all the players from all around the world. And we are pleased to have you on this forum, Matteo.
Alex, give us a little bit your own background and how because you're also leading the local FinTech Association, as well as a network of FinTech Association across Africa, which, by the way, for both of you, Hanae and Raphael, are going to be really useful.
Okay, so I'm Alexi, as you said. I'm the founder and director of Africa FinTech Forum, which is an organization that tries to advocate with public and private authorities for fintech development, to center fintech, to center financial technology as a leading part to develop our economy, African economy. And for this, we are a lot of projects that we develop. We set up FinTech Association. We did it in Cote d'Ivoire. I'm not the president of this association. The president is Mr. Paul Harry, the CEO of EcoBank, the big bank in Cote d'Ivoire. And we set up also the Morocco FinTech Association, and we are and also Niger FinTech Association, and we are working to set up the Senegalese, the Tunisian FinTech Association. Why we do this? We think that is important to have local players that can collaborate, that can interact, that can put the point to the high level, to the decision maker, to the decision level. And it's important for us to have this connection, to create this interaction between FinTech Association in Africa. And also what we did, we tried to develop data management. We released a survey that we run with Deloitte Africa Francophone, FinTech mapping on 20 Francophone Africa country. Is the first survey on the FinTech ecosystem, that mapping the FinTech ecosystem. And we are very pleased to run this project with Deloitte and also with Microsave Africa. And what we are trying to do is to develop also synergy to develop collaboration between FinTech ecosystem, between country, between financial center. And we have a partnership with financial center like Kigali, like we start collaboration with Casa Finance City. We also have partnership with some with Loft, Luxembourg from technology, in order to create this big place, this big hub for FinTech. And first of all, I'm also the vice president of Africa FinTech Network, which is a continental organization encompassing the National FinTech Association, and the president is Mr. Dr. Segun from Nigeria, and we have something like 30 country, 30 National FinTech Association in this organization.
Thank you, Alex. And I'm actually an advisor to that organization as well. Thank you for reminding me in this show. All this to say that, thank you, Alex, for this intro. Can you stay with us for like one more question, maybe, and then we'll let you go back to your mess and this 2 weeks prior to event that we know so well. I was actually about to ask Raphael, how does he see the collaboration and involvement of the financial institutions of Francophone Africa? Because there are actually local ones. You mentioned EcoBank. There are like very strong foreign global banks like Société Générale or BNP Paribas, who are actually BNP Paribas stronger in Northern Africa and Société Générale stronger for sure in Francophone Africa. How do you see this, their attitude in collaborating with the startup and dealing with the innovation, Raphael?
So I think as really global bank in our market, I think SocGen, Société Générale is part of the only one, or then we have some Pan-African one. SocGen have their own mobile money. They have a product called Youp, so they're operating on their own. And I think from all the other Pan-African or local banks, we have different types. I think some are not really open, some are really open, including the bank with who we're going to be partnering and issue our mobile money anytime soon. So it depends on the perception people have on the market. And it's true that now it's about, I would say, traditional banking and embedded finance and really like financial inclusion. And now I think the goal for Africa is we need to provide the first level of a wallet and transaction and a place where people can store money, where they can build credit scoring, and when they can lend money. So all of this, it's happening now. And I think some banks are really looking into partnership, which actually I cannot disclose now, but the bank we're going to be partnering, and that's going to be announced in a few weeks, beginning of the year. Some are trying to do their own solution, which is always difficult because wherever you look, you don't even need to go to Africa, but even if you go around Europe or even US, you see what's going on with neobanks and traditional banks. I mean, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and she's just using Revolut and N26, and she doesn't even care about going to the large traditional bank where her dad has a bank account. For us, it doesn't make sense. It's not cool. It's not easy, and she can do all the things she's doing inside the app with her credit card. So we have a really a revolution in place. I think in Africa it's a bit different, but I think most of the institutions are aware. And Africa had already the mobile money revolution a while ago with all the telcos. It was a USSD driven, and now we have a mobile application coming, which makes a big difference on the experience and all the things we can include inside. And it's true that the term embedded finance, it's everywhere, but the reality is that I think bankers try to make people believe that being a bank was something really complicated for the last 50 years, until we've realized that it was not that complicated. And actually running tech companies or industry company was much more complex. And that now, because you have all those fintech coming with a lot of services through API and whatever as a service, you can virtually build a bank or some financial services off the shelves with a lot of great companies outside. So what I was saying is that we've seen companies like Kodak disappearing, and we see different things in the revolution of tech. And I think this decade is going to be the revolution for the fintech. I think fintech has been, for the last 10 years, there were like ants all around the banks, and the banks were laughing the last 10 years. But I think the next 10 years is going to be completely the opposite. I think the banking system, the banking industry overall is completely under attack by the fintech industry everywhere. And I think in Africa, it's going to be a bit less, because I believe it's going to be a lot of strong partnership, because you need to understand the local ecosystem to work with the central bank, to understand Africa. So it's going to be a strong partnership with tech players and strong local banks.
Thank you, Raphael. So I wanted Alex to sort of build up, agree or disagree, and also have his point of view on how banks are actually reacting to even this, because banks are part of these fintech associations, right? In theory and in practice, because directly or indirectly, they are the ones that startups go to either for funding or collaboration, or to build products together. How do you see this collaboration / competition, Alex?
I think the point of Raphael is correct. We noted that there is two times in collaboration between fintech and bank. The first is that at the beginning, the banks was very working opponently to the fintech. So they think that fintech cannot bring something new in the ecosystem for the industry. They think that fintech are just project led by young people, so they will not survive to the competition. But the reality is that fintech are very strong now. And the second step of this collaboration is that some banks are very open to collaborate with fintech. I can share some examples, some use cases, like EcoBank, who set up a sandbox and invite fintech to plug on the sandbox. I can also mention StockGen, who I was part of the fintech challenge, and the point during this competition, during this project, is that they want to collaborate. They want to be part of the fintech industry, of the fintech ecosystem. And I think that they appointed a deputy CEO who named Olivier, in charge of developing the collaboration, developing the relationship with fintech, with innovation, with data management, etc. So there is other example of bank of collaboration. So my point is that the bank must collaborate. They need to collaborate with fintech, because fintech bring innovation, they bring agility, as we say, they bring resilience, I would say. But the solution or the technology they bring are very adapted to our local population because they are Raphael talk about credit management solution, about credit rating solution. There is a lot of solutions that have been developed by fintech, by startup, and are very adapted to our continent. And I think what we need to build is a very interactive ecosystem, a very interactive industry where collaboration could be a focus, where collaboration could be a pillar to develop our economy, to enhance the financial inclusion. But what we think is that we need to build a sort for the next year. We'll have a very close collaboration, a very interactive collaboration, inclusive industry where banks and all the players like telco, insurance, fintech will work together, and it's what we are trying to advocate.
Thank you, Alex. I actually agree with both. I actually agree there will be a consolidation, as Rafa said, and that there will be banks that probably won't survive to this, even to this like a collaboration opportunities, because if you don't, you're likely to, much likely to sink. And on the other hand, the collaborating with fintech, especially for large banks, is almost a necessity, because especially right after financial inclusion, the financial inclusion step, there is the whole like the lending process and micro lending, and you simply cannot do with the current banking infrastructure. Alex, thank you very much for being with us. We let you go back at the organization, and I'll see you in Abidjan.
See you in Abidjan. I hope to have also Raphael and Renata in Abidjan.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
guys, let's take a short break, and we'll come back with Hanae and Raphael in a couple of minutes. Stay with us. It's a wrap.
At timepledge.org, we are building the largest free coaching and advisory platform for entrepreneurs by providing mentorship opportunities based on pledged time. Our network of seasoned industry experts acting as coaches is working for free, pledging their valued time to the next generation of entrepreneurs who will change everything. Our portfolio of sessions goes over every skill an entrepreneur needs to successfully launch his or her startup, from how to pitch and behave with investors to how to best market your idea online, or even how to best manage your team. We have the perfect sessions with the perfect mentors. Want to learn how to become the best entrepreneur you can be, or mentor the next generation of entrepreneurs in Africa and Asia? Please visit timepledge.org and let's get you started.
Hey guys, welcome back to Breaking Banks Europe, show 105, Breaking Impacts, focus on Francophone Africa. Alex left, back to the tragedy of organizing such a huge event in such a short time with all the COVID restrictions. But, remember Africa FinTech Forum, 22 to 24th of November. We will actually put the link in the show at together with the transcription. So we're back with Hanae and Raphael. And Hanae, sorry, we didn't have time to sort of gather your comments about the financial services sort of vertical, of this innovation trend. Also because you work with including mostly female entrepreneurs and workers into the system. And the financial inclusion has to be the main driver for it, right? Because, we all know that if we could avoid any women in Africa to bring cash, and be paid in cash, just the security environment that we could build around that very simple innovation would be amazing.
Absolutely. First of all, I'd like to say kudos to Alex for organizing this event, and kudos to all entrepreneurs on this continent making it happen no matter what. Now, to answer your question, I would say yes, my comments are going to be very broad because we haven't yet deployed activities with Duartech specifically on financial inclusion, but we're thinking about it. And you're absolutely right. If we are to bring solutions or help vulnerable youth raise their resilience, it has to be through financial inclusion. I believe one of the reasons why fintech startups, in addition to a legislation that's quite different, the reason why fintech startups didn't pick up as much in North Africa as they did in sub-Saharan Africa is because the banks have been there for a while already, and they have a strong power. So a lot of people actually have bank accounts. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's easy to find with the research online, and that made us kind of so far, in my perspective, lose a little bit the opportunity of the fintech revolution that happened in East Africa and is happening in West Africa, because the solutions that are being brought by startups like the one that Raphael has put together are by far giving tangible answers to main challenges. Yes, as a matter of fact, when women have access to money and money management tools that are clear, understandable, and that allow for transparency, for community accountability, that kind of shifts the power. Now, in North Africa, if you look at the culture, women are a lot of times kind of it's very strange, actually. It's a very patriarchal kind of society, of course, but it's very strange because a lot of traditional families would and men would prevent their partner and their sisters, the women in their family, from working, and at the same time sometimes they exploit them. If you take especially vulnerable communities, a lot of people from rural areas come to the cities to work as maids, for instance. They bring back all the money is given to the families, and they're left with nothing in the end. And it's a major issue because it's depriving them from the very empowering experience of doing work that matters and investing in oneself and investing in their own dreams, right? And so I believe that fintech startups have a role to educate better, to of course include all those populations, but educate better on what is a healthy financial management. When you take also statistics, a lot of the population in Morocco is in debt. They started to consume a little bit like in Europe because they could see that it was available. So cars, other consumption goods, and in the end, they're kind of all in debt in ways that are not sustainable. So I think another main mission for fintech startups is definitely to teach people how to manage better their money, invest for their future, and perhaps have access to powerful tools that make it more equitable. Things like cryptocurrency, NFTs. I hear and I participated in a lot of conversations where it's about distributed power, right? And so I believe these people have the right to be educated, to know that it exists, and to perhaps have a chance to participate.
So Raphael, I want to pick up on a couple of concepts that Hannah just sort of talked about. Because for a long time we have been, in my opinion, misinterpreting the financial inclusion with giving bank accounts to people, right? And that was like phase zero. And then giving a mobile wallet to someone, is the same technically as including her financially. But actually startup like Gozem and another you mentioned, embedded finance, are, in my opinion, the next big opportunity for financial inclusion, where basically if you are today a Gozem client, technically you're financially included already because you have a wallet. As a driver, you have a wallet attached to it. You can ask for a microloan. You can finance your vehicle. You can receive your money, carry your money digitally. So, Raphael, you don't need to explain why Gozem is so great. I just did, but I really would like you to give me your your thinking of what does it really mean to financially include people.
Sure. So I think the best way. Let me tell you about the journey of our driver, of our champion. Okay, and what we did when we arrived in Togo. A lot of people thought same as Uber, we created a market. We didn't create a market. When we arrived in Togo, we saw there was 100,000 of moto taxi everywhere. Okay, informal market, in the street, taking cash. You borrow money from a guy you don't know with really high rate. Someday you have some fuel. Someday the bike broke up. Someday you fight with the other guy. So, and that at scale of 10 or of 100,000 of people, okay, doing this job because they have no job. So they take a bike and they go in the street. And we say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to boost and formalize this industry. Okay, we're not going to reinvent everything because we're not a government. We're not going to build a factory or create jobs. But what we're going to do is that something was seen as a really bad job. And that's what happened when we arrive in those countries. People say, what are you doing? Those guys are in the street and they're not educated. They will never understand what you're doing. And we say, no, we're going to go step by step. And we said, first, we're going to train them. Second, we're going to give them a smartphone. Then we're going to train them how to use the smartphone. They're going to use our app. They're going to understand what they're doing every day because they have a dashboard and they understand how is their revenue. We're going to provide them more revenue. We're going to send them some clients and we're going to help them manage their P&L. Okay, so here it's doing business. Okay, so and people tell me, yeah, but you're dreaming. You're coming from Europe, from Singapore, and I say no, we're not dreaming. It's just we need to provide a tool, and today it's working, and this is the reality because our driver today, our champions, are able to see exactly how they're working with their dashboard every day. At the same time, we gave them a smartphone that opened up them to the world. And it's true that a lot of them now they will watch the news and they go on YouTube and they do different type of training and directly install different apps. At the same time, we've been able to provide them a cheaper bike, okay, because now they have a real leasing company in front of them, and they don't have an unstable lender with really high rate. And one day he wants to buy, one day there's a fire or something. We're an institution for them, no? And it's true because at the beginning, when they add their revenues in the wallet, every day they were drawing the money because they didn't have any trust. And now with time, we see that the amount of deposit in our wallet is going up with the revenues they're making every day. And they're repaying their bike. And then we started to make deals for them. So most of our drivers, the Monday, they buy the food for the family. So we give them cheaper food. We buy in bulk. They can pay in 14 installments. So that's really that's part of our impact initiative we're doing. We don't make any money on this. Things we make money, things we don't make money. So we're deciding on some of them. But the reality is that now they have a new bike. They do the repair. They go to Total, who's one of our partners, to make a full tank in the morning. So the bikes makes a longer time because they don't put a bad oil inside. They make more revenues. They're online. They understand about security. They understand about maintenance. And they understand that they're repairing their bike really fast. And soon they're going to buy a second bike and rent the first one they have. And they're already asking us for special loan for the school of their kids, special loan to go to the bank and get credit scoring certificate. They're formalized. We're building a first layer of middle class in those countries for something that was completely informal. And people were saying those people are left alone. And now they're completely structured. They come, they have equipment, helmet, a license, a brand new bike, and we're completely transforming this. But the beauty is that this driver, for us, is a real consumer. He has a credit scoring. Now he's consuming. We know who is he. And the reality, it's true. Part of those drivers are not hardworking people. They come and they try to scam us and stuff. And now we know they are. We have a process, and we eliminate 99% of them, and they're going away. But the big part of all our drivers are dad with 4 kids working hard and want to help their family and bring and want to send their kids to school. And we even have some interns in our company who are the kids of our drivers, to tell you how far we go. So just to give you a bit on the journey and how it works. And it's true that when we started this company, to be honest, I knew a little bit about ESG and impact and all of this. And with time, a lot of impact people, and actually that's how we met Matteo, by the way, came to see us and say, guys, what you're doing, it's great, it's amazing. And this is how we realized that by default, we were an ESG impact project on what we were doing, but our business is to get our driver richer, and we're just taking a cut on this, but it makes everybody happy, hopefully.
Absolutely, Raphael, and indeed that's how we met. It was through like Bamboo Capital Partners, as an impact investor. And I was actually, thank you for giving me that perch, because I was actually about to say that one thing that I've learned in my journey as an impact investor is that there is a sector that I didn't really understand what it was until I started looking at African company, and is ed tech, education tech. And Hannah, you have been in this world much closer than me as an entrepreneur. You have been close as an entrepreneur to this world much more as me as an investor. But I actually believe that in emerging economies, Raphael, to keep like using your image, is not because the driver has an helmet and an app and a funded vehicle and a digitized income that knows how to wisely spend the money, right? Because some of them will just say that they have money and they would not understand, the balance between, buying something or like over indebting themselves versus, giving it away to something that doesn't make sense. So, and that's why the financial inclusion term, it is almost as important as what we call the financial literacy, right? Or financial health. Hannah, would you agree with what I just said?
Absolutely. I think to Raphael's point, I believe that, and I've been witnessing that very much, tech startups have done the job, perhaps without the initial intention sometimes, but sometimes with this intention, to raise the level of awareness of practical education, of skill capacity building. If I take apps like Uber, well, Uber has tried in Morocco, it kind of failed, but Karim was successful. When it comes to training the drivers in terms of service and really how to treat a client and in a professional way, and also be officially listed to do activities that are not informal, it's been immense. And I think we have to recognize that very added value that tech startups are bringing. Now, it doesn't replace the other edtech initiatives. And if anything, I believe it has to work together because it's benefiting from one another. A hub like Duartech, and there are many others in the continent, are definitely kind of trying to bring this education to people, to tell them you can build tech if you want. You can participate in this massive fest that tech is around the world. And you can do it in a way that answers your community's need. And we've witnessed this at Duartech. We did the Tech Entrepreneurs Program for 450 hours of training last year. And we did a hackathon after 6 months. And people that didn't have, they didn't even had used Excel at the start of the program were able to build web apps. A lot of those web apps were about educating their communities, bringing health solutions to their communities, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying here is that we have to kind of work together to indeed raise the digital literacy and the financial literacy. And I think we can work together with people like Gozem, if they want to set trainings aside, because we would have this expertise in terms of methodology, in terms of platform, in terms of approach, in terms of a lot of contextualization of content. to really raise the bar and make sure that the work that these people are doing is dignifying and is impacting in a very positive and sustainable way their households, their communities, and the countries at the end of the day.
With this potential collaboration opportunity between Duartech and Gozem pitched live by Hanae to Raphael, which I think is actually a great idea. Our time is up. I would love to thank you very much, both of you, for being with us. And 20 seconds with the tweet, how can people reach you? Hanae?
At
Duartech.com website.
At Beehane, Beehane, or on my email, b.hanae@gmail.com. And of course, check out our website, duartech.org, and our social media, Duartech, Douar, Douar, and tech. Douar is a village in Moroccan Arabic. It's that's why we named ourselves this way.
Thank you. Raphael, Gozem.com, I guess, right?
Yeah, Gozem.com for the company. If you want to talk to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I accept 95% of people generally. And you can just send me a message, tell me what you want to do. And I'm always happy to have a chat.
Great. Thank you for being with us. Once again, we'll come back to talk about Francophone Africa soon. Stay with us, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matteo. Thank you, Hanae.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Breaking Banks Europe, a Provoke Media podcast in cooperation with FinTech Stage. Don't forget to tweet us out, shout out, or post to the team at Breaking Banks EU on Twitter. If there's something or someone you'd like to hear on our cast, let us know. See you next week on Breaking Banks Europe.